Yo YouTube! This is my video for Friday the 8th of August, and I've just picked up my first load, which I won this morning. The time now is 8:40 and I'm going from Spalding to Hull. It's a small van job. It's 85 loaded miles plus the toll across the Humber, and I've got £85 for this job. And it's not a bad start. I was looking for jobs from sort of 6 o'clock onwards, and there wasn't an awful lot that was close to me. There was a job that I bid on yesterday afternoon going from Spilsby to Reading, which is quite a nice long distance job. The problem with that is I'm an hour from Spilsby and Reading isn't the best place to end up. But that mileage is something like 175 miles loaded in that region. And it was for a pickup at 9 o'clock this morning. And I'm going to explain my experience of this job on CX. And my audience is very good at giving me rational explanations as to why somebody might behave they do. So, riddle me this. This job was first posted this afternoon about 2 o'clock. I put a bid on there at 170, and I thought it's a long shot, but you know, I'd do it for 170 because I've got to drive an hour to get to there in the morning. I've got to end up in Reading, and it is a small van if I didn't say that. And not surprisingly, I think it was this morning I woke up and it had been dismissed or sold. The job had been sold, but then it got reposted at 6:22. Exactly the same job. So I put in a bid of 160, thinking fair enough, I'll do it for 160, and that's a fair price. Probably within about 10 minutes it got sold, and then it was reposted probably about half an hour later. It was sold and reposted around about 6:50ish. Same job. So I put in a bid of 150 with a note saying this is the lowest I can go for this one. I was thinking, well, that surely would be enough for this job. And then at about 7:15 that got sold and reposted. So at this point I'd have left it, and I thought, well, fair enough, I've done my lowest bid, they don't want it, I'll just get on with something else. And I was fine with that. I was a bit unsure as to why it kept being sold and reposted, but that's fine. It then, without me doing anything with it, got sold and reposted again at just before 7:30. And then again sold, reposted at about 7:45. And then for the final time that I've seen, at least, it was sold and reposted at 8:10. So I don't get why does it keep being reposted? But just I don't understand. Is there a rational reason why that would happen? It's not like in my area there's so many jobs that it gets to the bottom of the screen. It was sitting there at the top of the screen for ages. Spilsby is not a busy area, so I don't really get what's going on there. I can tell you what I think was happening, but this is where I've got no idea how to put myself in the mind of somebody else. So my brain says to me, that's someone there who wants a really cheap price, who whenever they get a bid they don't want, is selling it and reposting the job. But you don't need to sell it today, just don't accept the bids that come in if they're not the right price. I don't understand the rebidding thing. And it feels passive aggressive to me as a driver. This job keeps popping up that I'd like to do for a fair price, but whatever price I put in, it's not being accepted. So I'm probably overthinking it. But I think as a driver we get these situations where we're sort of playing a game with, it feels like we're playing a game with shippers, where they want to go cheaper and we want to get a fair price. And we sort of keep having to put bids on to change slightly. It seems like a far cry from the idea of a bidding platform where you put your work on the platform, people bid for it, and then you choose one. That's not what's happening here. There's some sort of game being played with the person reposting it. So it makes me think that shipper's not particularly someone I want to work for. It makes me think that they are not particularly serious as a transporter. But I don't know them, I've never worked for them. It's just the impression I get from the CX. So if you could come up with a legitimate reason why that's something someone will do, then please enlighten me, because I can't think of a reason why that's something a professional person would do. Update time. It is now 11:15. I arrived in Kingston upon Hull at 10:50 and delivered my urgent delivery. I then drove off site, came and parked on the road just outside, and was looking for jobs. I'll put up a map now to show the other drivers that are around me. There's quite a lot of active drivers, and there's not an awful lot of jobs. So I decided to go reasonably cheap on any bids that came up. There's only one job that came up that I could do, which was going from Hull to Sheffield. And it's 68 loaded miles for a long wheelbase van job, picking up at 12 o'clock. And I put my initial bid down of £80. I worked out I was 15 minutes away from the pickup. It's only about 3 miles, if that. And then I thought about it and thought, no, I need to be a bit more aggressive than this. So I put £75 bid on and then waited. It took about 5 or 10 minutes before I got a phone call. But I did get the phone call about 2 minutes ago, and I've been given the job. So I will have got £80 for my trip up here, plus this 75. I'm picking up at 12 o'clock. It's going to be a couple of hours across to Sheffield. So by 2 o'clock, I will have earned £155 and I'll be in Sheffield. So I would say I'm happy with that. That seems like a very good plan of action. And we'll see what happens when I get to Sheffield. I'm optimistic that I'm going to make a good day today. So I'll get this video stopped and I'll accept the job and I'll make my way over, and hopefully they'll be ready before 12. I mean, I've basically got about half an hour to wait when I get there. But I'm going to very nicely say I'm ready when you are and see whether I get it earlier. Okay, let you know. Cheers. Just before 12 o'clock now, and I've picked up my load from Hull. I'm on my way to just the other side, as in the west side of Sheffield. I should be there by about 1:45. And so on the way I thought I would just share with you some thoughts I had about pricing specifically, and the quality of jobs that are available for drivers, that I think, as I've done this more and more, it's become more and more obvious. So I'm going to pitch this sort of opinion in terms of hierarchy of jobs for drivers. And I would say at the top of the scale, the best quality jobs, the best paying jobs, when I say quality I mean best paying really, I think is when you've got your own customers and you're running your own business. So you're the boss and you are delivering them yourself, or you're employing drivers or subcontracted drivers to do it for you, and you're very much a hands-on person to the process. You are in contact with your customers and in contact with your drivers. I think that is the creme de la creme of logistics, earning money as a driver. As an honourable mention, I don't know where this ranks. I'm not really going to talk much about people who are PAYE drivers. I don't know much about whether that's good or badly paid. I wouldn't have an opinion on that, to be honest. I just don't think it's the same ballpark as working for yourself. So obviously, if you wanted to have a regular income and you wanted to you had sort of set constrictions, or you live close to a lot of work, then maybe working for a courier company is for you. I think the next level down in terms of the quality of the jobs you get would be being one of the drivers for those companies. So being one of the people that is subcontracted out to do work for the guy that owns the company. I think you tend to get treated fairly and paid fairly. I think the next level that I've highlighted is people that don't have their own customers and earn money from the apps, which is where I am. I work only off the CX app. I have tried a couple of other apps that just didn't work for me, but I have experienced other examples of getting work off an app as a subcontractor. And I've said in the past that the CX is kind of a reservoir of drivers which takes the lowest of the low jobs that no one else wants to do. And I'm going to correct that slightly. It's not completely, I'm not completely running back from it, but I found a level that's lower than that. This is what my video is about. This is what my thought is about today. I think I found a level that's beneath what I do, and I thought I was at the bottom of the ladder. And that is people that are subcontracted for companies that are not quite so ethically concerned about paying a good wage, and they're treated like they're employed. And I think I've come across a few companies like that where they will talk about their own drivers, but actually these aren't employing drivers. They're just getting drivers to join them directly with their own sort of paperwork and their own app or WhatsApp group, and they're treating them like they are their drivers, but they're not. They're just like me. They're subcontracting drivers out for the to bid on work, and maybe these drivers can't afford CX, or maybe they don't know about CX or don't know about the other apps. Maybe they don't have the greatest English skills. Maybe they're very new to the industry, and maybe they don't have any contacts to guide them. But I think that's a layer that I've identified that's below what I do. They work at really low rates because they don't know any better. They're not going to be watching my YouTube videos because they they're probably not interested, or they can't understand them, or whatever. So there's a whole load of drivers that are falling beneath the CX sort of protection, as it were. If that makes any sense to you. And I think that layer of drivers is what's contributing to the downward pressure of prices on CX and other apps. It's not just the drivers and the shippers on the CX app that are doing it. It's those that might be adjacent to the CX and those sort of apps that might use the CX to kind of distribute work, to invoice work, but actually they're giving work directly to their drivers. And I was thinking about this the other day. I was thinking, they're not their drivers. They're treating them like they're employed, but they don't pay them directly. They pay them per job, and they don't give them any employment rights, and they're basically just they are completely the same as what I do. They are subcontractors without the knowledge or the confidence or whatever it is to just go out and find their own work off the CX. And these companies, I don't know how widespread these, I don't know numbers, I don't know how widespread these companies are, but they do exist, and they are there. They'll allow their drivers to co-load because they're making more money as a business of them. So when they say I'll tell you what's annoyed me. What's annoyed me about this is the phrase "their drivers." They're not their drivers. They're just people that have signed up to their app or their WhatsApp group, and they've got every right, those drivers, to do that to every other app or WhatsApp group that exists. They are self-employed, independent couriers. They're not employed. I just don't think they get that. So you end up with situations where there's people that are quite naive, doing long distance jobs for little money, thinking that that's the best you can do. And I felt I had to say that because I think I've not heard talked about before. And I don't blame, if you're going to apportion blame, which I don't think is necessarily very helpful, if you're going to apportion responsibility for this, I would not give that to the drivers. Maybe there's an element of lack of knowledge, which is their responsibility. Maybe there's a lack of networking, which is hard to do for some people. Maybe it's just a question of they've got the wrong skill set or the wrong background to do this job, and they just get sucked up by these companies that will effectively take advantage of them, in my view. I can only think, and as I'm saying this, the only thing I can think of is it must be because a lot of drivers don't speak great English. Because if you could speak fluent English, I think you'd be asking questions about the pay, and you'd be not necessarily putting up with low prices. So I would put the responsibility on the companies that are employing drivers under these conditions. There's nothing wrong in subcontracting drivers, absolutely nothing wrong with that. But if you're gonna sort of subcontract drivers to your own company and keep them exclusive to you, you've got to pay them fairly. There's nothing wrong with exclusivity either, but you've got to pay them fairly. And I get the impression that for drivers who are doing this sort of work, a small van work job tops out at 80p a mile, rather than that being the bottom of the scale. And I suspect there's drivers doing work for a lot less money per mile. That's just my opinion from being in the logistics world and looking around and experiencing things. So I thought I'd share that, because I always think about the CX and other apps as being the lowest of the low. I just don't think it is anymore. It's now 1:55, and this job's gone a little bit pear-shaped, but I'm not going to worry about it because we've dealt with it, and I've communicated everything, and I'll tell you what happened. So I got here about probably 10 minutes ago, and I came down this lane to my left, down quite a steep hill. I saw this construction site that's in front of me. Now, if I just pan to the left, you'll see where they're doing something down there. And I thought that's probably the most likely place where I'm going to, but there's absolutely no activity. If you do look at the gate on the far right hand side, it is padlocked. So I had a quick look down the rest of the lane in case there's somewhere else more obvious, and there wasn't. So I rang the number for the customer, which I was given. No answer. I rang again, no answer. I went to voicemail. Tried a third time, no answer. So then at this point, I called the shipper, let them know, could they get hold of someone. He said he would get me a number, or no, he'd call them. Before he called me back, the first guy that I'd rang called me, and I told him what I was here for, and he said he'd give me a number of a person who's actually on site. So he did that. He texted it to me, But I was thinking to myself, there is nobody on site. So whatever you think you're going to do now, you're just going to give me another number to call, and I'm just going to have the same situation. But I'll do it. That's the game we play. So I then updated the shipper, rang him back and said, this is what's happening. I'm going to call the number. I called the second number. The guy answered straight away, which is really good. I explained the situation. He wanted me to unpadlock the gate with the code he gave me, drive down to the bottom, and then offload the pallet by hand. And I said, there's no way I can do that because the pallet is metalwork that's all sort of packaged up. So I just cannot do that sort of handballing. So he said to get back to his boss. He did that. In the meantime, I spoke to the shipper, just update them. The guy came back to me and said, in that case, I'll come down and I'll come and use the digger that's down the bottom there to take it off. So I said, that's fine, that's good. He said it'd be about 45 minutes to an hour before he gets to me, which is not ideal, but it is what he said he's going to do. So I said, that's fine, I'll wait. And then I rang the shipper back and just said to him, just to let you know, we're updating you. This is what's going to happen. And the shipper said, to all credit to the shipper, he's going to pay me waiting time. He's going to charge it to the customer and then give it to me. And I said to the shipper, just so you know, that the first half an hour is free, and then I charge £30 per hour for waiting. And he said, that's fine. We'll deal with it at the end. So I've now got about an hour, I would say, of waiting here in this with this lovely view. Look at that valley ahead of me. And I will go to the loo. I'll get to the loo by the side of me, and then I'll get back in the van and I shall just relax, getting probably a bit too hot, and wait till the guy comes. I'm assuming he's gone home early. His boss didn't know, but I'm here at it's not even 2 o'clock, and I'm here. So there's nothing that the shipper has done wrong, and nothing that I've done wrong. So it's all about a lack of communication from the customer, whoever the customer is in this situation. I think the customer is the people, contractors doing the work. I think they've ordered something. This is what is a bit confusing. They've obviously ordered something to come today, and they're not here to pick it up. And they're expecting, like a driver like myself, the thing he asked me to do was, can you split the pallet and then take it off? Now, no, I can't do that. I can't physically do that. I've got, obviously not all drivers have the same issues as I have. I mean, I suppose I'm thinking about it now. If I was fully healthy, would I have done what he said so that I get away from here more early? And probably I would have thought about it, but stuff that's at the back there is quite big metalwork. And then you're liable, aren't you, then, to sort of, if you take it off and you damage something or you bend something, then you're kind of liable. So I personally don't think it's up to the driver to be splitting. I should describe what I've got on the back. It's a pallet, and then there's metal grids, a bit bigger than the pallet itself. It's a standard sized pallet, and there's probably about 40 or 50 of them all stacked up on this. Best thing I can think that they're probably steel work to go in concrete foundations of some sort to make the concrete stronger. But yeah, it's not something that I think is up to the driver to deal with. So yeah, I'm happy with what I've done. I've communicated really clearly. The shipper seems to be happy with what I've done, and I'm just going to have to sit here now. Right, I'm back. Could you believe this? Wow, I'm still going like the Duracell bunny that I am. Right, so what happened? I was on site waiting in total by the time they came and offloaded me for an hour in total at the last place. The guys came within about sort of 40 minutes after I arrived, and then they opened the gate up and went down and got this enormous what I would call a digger, and then they put on a couple of forks, and then they came up this very steep drive, and then very smoothly took off this pallet. So I was very impressed with the size of that machine was, and the noises it was making was very impressive, and the precision of the driving was very impressive as well. So yeah, and then I came off site. I I've asked for £15 extra, 1.5 extra, so I've got that. And then I've got a job now going from another part of Sheffield, which is about half an hour away. And I've taken a bit of a calculated risk with this one. It's going to Burnley. Now, Sheffield to Burnley is the opposite direction to my house. But my thinking was this: if I got the job, the job is a small van job. It's one box. It's going 86 loaded miles, and I've got £80 for it, 80. My thinking was, if I get that job, I should be finished in Burnley, around about 5 o'clock-ish, or thereabouts, 5 to 5:30. And I will have made all the money I need to make for the day. And I've still got a chance to get a job on the way back. It's a remote chance, but it's a chance to get a job on the way back to make my day even better. But if I don't, I'll just drive back empty, and I'll still be back for about 8:30, maybe, at latest 9. So I felt that it was worth the risk of going the wrong direction for the actual money, and I got the job. So let's do it. I don't mind I'm going the wrong direction. I'm pleased that I've got this. So this puts me now on I think it's 255 for the day. So I'm going to make close to £200 net. Might even just about get £200 even, depending on how fuel efficient I am. So yeah, I'm pleased with that. It does make my day quite long, but it means I'll get the money that I want to make, which is the main thing. So yeah, I'll let you know how it goes. Okay, I'm just driving off site now for my last delivery of the day, and it's about just over 3 hours to get home. It's 167 miles from here, which isn't too bad really, considering where I am in the country. And I got here at 6 o'clock, and the drive from Sheffield to here was amazing over the Pennines. I did get one road that was very windy and narrow and very steep, and I'll show you a video of some of that now. So this is Hebden Bridge. I'm going to Burnley, and I live in Finland. This is not funny. This is crazy. How do people live like this? There's houses here on this road. People live here. There's no spaces for cars. How do they get to and from their house? Oh, there's some cars here, look. Oh dear, it's crazy. Look at the angles on that road compared to that house. Oh, it's more. Look at this. It's like being on a roller coaster. Wow, that was quite difficult. On that last bend, we had about 6 cars coming the other way, and we got 3 cars behind me that I can see. But we got round eventually. I pulled over, and we got round. Right, another bend. Hopefully there's no one in this round corner. Oh, I'm going to 30 miles an hour. That's good. I'm sure if you live in this area, you all know about this road. This is probably, I don't remember doing this before. This is my first time. It's not that easy in a van. There's other cars coming. Really sharp bend here. Have to go very wide. How it comes. Yay. That's the worst of it. other than that, which was quite hectic in places, it was a lovely drive. This is of the scenery. The only thing I would say is there was quite a lot of roadworks, and it was quite busy because it's a Friday afternoon. So it wasn't a relaxing journey in terms of the concentration I had, and stopping and starting. But it was a nice experience for me to have, to come here. It's good to see a different part of the country and how it's so different to where I live. So now I'm heading back. I'm going to be back at about 9:30ish. I'll do some stats when I'm sort of about an hour away from home, because I might, just get a job on the way back. I'll be looking for a job on the way back, but I think it's probably unlikely. But I think this week feels like it's been a good week. I think I'm not having really, really bad days this week. So I'm looking forward to seeing what my weekly total is. It isn't over until the fat van driver sings. I've got myself another job, would you believe? It's pretty... Nothing's perfect, but it's pretty good. I'm driving back from Burnley to East Anglia, which takes me past Sheffield and Leeds, and then down the A1M. The job that I'm picking up is from Leeds, going to Louth, which is about 96 miles loaded, but it's directly going in the right direction for a change. And I put a bid on originally. This is for a small van job. My original bid was £80. No, it wasn't, it was £90. And then when he called me to offer me the job, he said, "What's your best price?" And I said, "I'd do it for 85, because I was originally going to bid 85, but then I thought, it's going to Louth, it's in the evening, I add an extra £5 on. So I'm ending up getting this job for what I initially thought I'd bid on it. So, 4 pretty decent jobs today. It will be a very long day. I mean, that is the downside, but I don't mind that. And also, I've got a job for Monday as well. I just came in to the last video. So, I'm really happy. I'm going to work out my stats when I've picked up my load, and then I shall let you know on the way down to Louth my daily and weekly figures, which I think will be looking good. Can't wait to tell you. Cheers. Okie dokie, I've collected my job from Leeds and I'm on my way to Louth now. It's about a total journey of about 2 hours, and I arrived on site to do the pickup at 7:45, and I was off site by about 8, and I will be delivered in Louth somewhere between 9:45 and 10 o'clock. And here are my stats for today. There definitely needs to be a drum roll here, but I don't have the technical capability to do that on my video. Just imagine it in your mind. So I haven't needed to fill up with fuel today. I've got enough fuel to get myself back home without putting any more in the tank today. So my average fuel price for this week is 13.73 pence per mile. Today I would have driven 445 miles, 445. By the time I get home, I will have worked a total from door to door of 14.5 hours. And I have smashed the CX algorithm today by getting 4 pretty decent CX jobs, totaling a gross income of £345, 345. My fuel for today comes to £61.10, and so I'm I'm going to round that down to £61. That means that my net income today, taking into account fuel, is £284. We must remember to take off the £1.50 for the toll to go over the Hebden Bridge this morning. So I'm rounding that down to £282 as my net earnings today. 282. I'm going to keep driving to my drop off, and then once I've done the job, I'll then work out my weekly stats on my trip home. And it may well be a bit dark then. It will be dark by the time I get home, but I'm not sure at what point it will turn. I suspect quite soon. So see you soon. Last video for today. I've got my weekly stats, which I like to run through pretty quickly because it's not very light, is it? You can't see very much. So this week I have worked for 4 days. I've worked for a total of 29 3/4 hours. I've driven this week a total number of miles of 1,793. 1793. I've earned a quite impressive £1,203 as my gross revenue. That's 1203. I spent £247 on fuel this week, and so my net income, taking off fuel and tolls this week, is £954. 954. The amount of pence I've earned per mile travelled this week is 53.22, and my average daily net earnings this week has come to £239 for the 4 days that I've worked, which I think is really impressive. That means that my income, the money that I'm taking home, if I take off £315 from my net earnings, that means my income this week is an astounding £639, and that is money that comes to me that will be for my benefit and will be taxed. And what I said I would do is I wanted to try and compare this week and last week, combine the two totals, because last week was quite poor, this week was quite good. So over the last 2 weeks, what's my average been for the week? So my 2 weekly average income amount comes to £382. So last week's income was really poor, which was £25, but over the 2 weeks I've averaged £382 each week as my income, which I'm really pleased with. I could definitely live off that amount of money if that's what I get on average each week by work. Okay, thank you very much for listening to my video. I'm back to work on Monday next week, the 11th. I have got a job booked in already in the morning. Not a bad job to get started. So I hope that you are all being successful, whatever that means for yourselves. Farewell, friends.